OSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Beaver, today girls can be doctors and lawyers too, you know. They're just as ambitious as boys are.
The times you're sitting at a table where there are no people of color, no women, if you're tolerating that, that is the workplace that's going to be waiting for your little girl. Daughter.
Because I'm a woman, phenomenal woman. All you women and me.
It is 8:06. We are live. We are local. This is Word on the Street, the award-winning hashtag She Talk. We're here. And if you're online waiting to weigh in on the conversations that we had earlier, hang on. But you've got to hear this conversation because hashtag She Talk isn't just for women. It happens to be a segment of Word on the Street where I kick out Shelly and I talk to women who are intriguing and prominent and interested in all walks of life. So today, so happy to have in the studio for the very first time. I've been saying this for a while, but it's the first time I've had in a realtor. So you may say, MalaniKai, okay, why do you have a realtor in? Well, she's not just any realtor. She's one of the top realtors in Atlanta. Okay, MalaniKai, why her? Why her is because she's from a place, her family's from a place called Iran. Why does that make any sense, MalaniKai? Iran is in the national news, but aside from that, she has reinvented herself over and over and over again. And many of you listening right now, you wonder how somebody whose parents came from another country could come here, be successful, and continue to reinvent herself. Help me welcome to hashtag She Talk. Her name is Maryam Schwegman. Did I say it right?
Yeah, you did.
Schwegman. Say it with the little accent thing.
Schwegman.
See, yes. I didn't say the
the Schwegman.
I didn't say the So welcome, and it's interesting that you're here. Thank you so much for being here. Let's talk first. We're going to get to your career, the 50 billion careers that you've had, and the important thing is you become successful at those. But let's talk about your journey to the United States from a place that it had to be hard for your parents from Iran coming to America when you were 20 days old with the last name Muhammad.
Correct. So basically back in 1978, there was a lot of political turmoil happening with the Shah as well as just the revolution that was really starting. And my parents had the opportunity to come to America on student visas. So they were able to go to Savannah State on an engineering student visa to be able to be students in Georgia. So in that journey, they had a 2-year-old child, my older brother, and then me, who was freshly born at 20 days old.
So you come to America, your parents end up being successful in their particular fields. You go on to, with the last name, and I say this because I think it's important, especially around 2001, with the last name Muhammad.
Correct.
Okay, so Maryam Muhammad. Lead us up to what you decided to study in college and where your career went from there.
So basically, I went to Emory University, so here in Atlanta, a great private school institution known for medical and nursing. So I went into nursing school and graduated in the year 2000 and went straight into frontline ER nursing in inner city Atlanta. Did that for about 3 years and had the opportunity to then go into corporate medicine, do a role where I was traveling 80%. And obviously, when 9/11 occurred, traveling 80% basically created a lot of extra time at the airport for me. I had always in my security boarding pass 4 S's, which meant an extra search.
We're talking to Maryam. She's a top realtor in Georgia, and she's talking about her career in you were serving as nursing. So you're in this field. It's a great field. You're having fun working in the inner city. You decide at some point what?
So at that point, I saw the opportunity of going into corporate nursing, so corporate medicine, where I was able to work for a medical device company. And essentially, my journey on that road took me about 14 years into working for 2 Fortune 500 companies. Great opportunities, great experiences, and a lot of great travel to see the world.
So we talked prior to this, and we're going to get to Iran. There's a lot of news happening over in Iran. So you go ahead and you're in nursing. You're working for Fortune 500 companies. When your last name is still Muhammad, did you run into, at any phase in your career, any challenges, especially again after 2001, when anybody, I got to be honest, with the name Muhammad, people were a little afraid of, and coming from Iran, because for some reason, Iran's one of those countries that we see bad stuff in movies, and Americans think, Iran, Muhammad. Any challenges with that?
Of course. I mean, a lot of people, the media, a lot of the propaganda that you see really misrepresents our country. If you had the opportunity to ever go to the homeland and be able to see, just how loving and nurturing our culture is, it really gives us a bad name. What you see, in what I would say in the news, just more of the political regime. And that's what a lot of people see. They don't see the culture and the history and the loving humans that Iranian people are. I will say, basically being in Georgia since 1978, that's the Deep South. So there was a lot of opportunities where I had accounts in southern Georgia, different parts where it seemed kind of scary at times to go to some of these hospitals and do some of the consulting work I did, because I'm walking around with Maryam Muhammad. I don't have fair skin. I'm dark featured. And, there were times where, there was a lot of, scary moments for me. And so, when I became married to become Maryam Schwegman, I see definitely a very different dynamic, because people don't see me as Arabic or Iranian when they see Maryam Schwegman right away, versus Maryam Muhammad. So yeah.
So you had challenges. Again, your parents are from Iran. You came over when you were 20 days days old. What are you continue to reinvent yourself?
Yeah.
How many different successful career fields have you been in, and why have you gone from one thing to the other?
Well, I've always been in the belief of, if you get into a mundane situation and you're not learning anymore, you're dying. So essentially, when I would start, my career path would be as a frontline ER nurse. I did that for a few years, had the opportunity to become a corporate healthcare executive for 2 Fortune 500 companies in the clinical realm. Did that for 14 years. In the meantime, while I was doing all of my clinical career, I always had my hand in the real estate pocket. So I got my real estate license in 2001. And the funny story of that was, when I got my nursing career started, we kind of looked at my paycheck and was like, let's just see what we can do to make you more money in your early 20s, because nursing ain't cutting it.
All right.
So I went and got my real estate license a year out of college and saw what a wonderful opportunity and a way to diversify my portfolio to really get into real estate, and so real estate has stuck, and I've always kept my real estate license active. And the reason why I got into it, my parents are actually builders in the state of Georgia. So they were building new construction homes in Alpharetta post 96 Olympics. It was like it was hot. The iron was hot. We struck gold, essentially. And it was a great opportunity in your early 20s to really learn that part of life, because they don't teach you that in college, So it always stuck, and I kept with it. And then after basically my corporate healthcare career, I really ventured out to become, a health and wellness business owner. And we were going to launch our Life Balance Center, which was really going to bring in holistic health coaching for people. And we were launched to release in April of 2020. And guess what happened a month prior to that?
Let me see. Shut down, lockdown, all the whole nine. Yeah, COVID happened. Yeah. So are you still opening that up?
So we kept coaching people virtually, because obviously everyone's lives changed for that 1 or 2 years. We're still transitioning back to some normalcy. But at that time, I saw that I had to kind of redirect and pivot, and saw what was happening in the real estate market, which we've all experienced nationwide, what's happened the past year and a half. So again, another iron was hot, and I struck and kept aggressively going into real estate the past couple of years, and it's been a blessing.
So you're one of the top. What does that mean when you say one of the top, 2-4%? What does that mean when we see that?
So top 2% within my company, and top 10% within Georgia. So
means you're balling?
I'm not doing too bad. So
top 4% in Georgia.
A top 10%.
Top 10% in Georgia. Out of how many real estate agents would you say there are?
I've lost count, to be honest with you.
Thousands and thousands?
Yeah. I mean, I literally have an OG number. So what I mean by that, my license number starts with a 2, but a lot of license numbers are starting with like 5s.
So let's go back to where your parents are from, where your blood is from. Iran is in the news. You know that a young lady women's rights. Let's talk about women's rights, which is big in America now. But in Iran, your president was just speaking to the UN. I believe he says he's dismissing the criticism about the street protests because they're protesting because a young lady got killed in police custody. Why did that happen?
So basically, this isn't a story that is surprising because a lot of the times we see these unfortunate incidences occur because, the youth of Iran, the folks that are extremely educated, I'm talking about master level PhD, 20-something-year-old folks with no opportunities for positions or jobs. They're all very educated people who want to see change. And when you see situations like this happen in our home country, it saddens us here in the States to see that there's still some old school mentality of not being able to really look at us as humans instead of just being so focused on the regime.
And us, mainly women, because I think she originally got arrested because she didn't have on her hijab. Yes.
Yeah.
And she ends up dying in police custody.
Yeah. So basically what they do is they have what, if you want to call it, the morality police, or however they want to phrase it. If they see someone not obeying the laws, they essentially just bring them into custody and detain them for sometimes could be hours, weeks, months, and years. It just depends on the violation that they violated, or the law they violated. And so a lot of the times we don't know what happens when they're in custody, if there's any kind of verbal, emotional, physical abuse that might happen. And obviously there's a lot of speculation from both sides on what they feel like happened versus what actually happened. Because how can you have someone who's 22 years old all of a sudden end up in an ICU hospital situation and die 3 days later, possibly from a head injury? We still don't know the facts. And to be honest with you, we'll probably never know the real truth or the real facts, because our country has a very, very keen way of being able to conceal.
Do you support the protests going on in the streets right now, as you still have family over in Iran?
Absolutely. I have family there. I feel for the youth there. I understand the change that they've been pining for years over years. If people remember years ago, a similar occurrence occurred with Nada. I don't know if you guys remember that. That was a few years ago, where she was shot in the throat. They claim it was an accident. But again, these stories happen over and over again. And I love the people still fighting. They still have the fight.
You're good with it.
I admire them. They're heroes, in my opinion. And I at times feel guilty being here on the mainland here in the U.S. because I see their struggle. I see their fight. But I hope and pray one day that they will be able to see what used to be in Iran pre-Iranian revolution.
And real quick, before we let you go, you were recently in news in Atlanta, one of the scariest moments of your life. Yeah. You're talking about Iran and your country and what's happening there. What happened to you real quick before we go to break?
So basically, I had a break-in on June 3rd in my home in Buckhead. So
you were home?
I was home. I was working upstairs in my office. I heard glass shatter, and all of a sudden, my fight or flight came in.
And what did you do?
I fought.
Black people run. Iranian people don't?
Not really. I guess when you're an inner city ER nurse, you don't run.
So you said Buckhead.
Yes.
Are you a part of, do you want to see a vote for Buckhead City, which is another national story?
Of course I do. I mean, I'm a huge, huge advocate of making sure Buckhead becomes a city for the resources we deserve.
And Maryam Schwegman, I can't get that part right. People want to find out more about you, your incredible story, your wellness coaching, your real estate career, the things that you've done. Where can they find you on social media?
So basically, I have my LinkedIn. If people want to go into Maryam Schwegman LinkedIn, you can find me there. Obviously, Facebook, because I'm old school in that way.
Oh, look at you. You're not in MySpace? No MySpace?
No MySpace. I have an Instagram called Schwegs MD Team. So I do have those engines. And obviously, Berkshire Hathaway, Georgia Properties, Maryam Schwegman.
Well, thank you so much for showing us how you can succeed and keep reinventing yourself, and also for shedding light on the Iranian people. And hopefully people got something out of that. And the Eye of the Tiger, that's good, Greg. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us for hashtag She Talk. Maryam Schwegman. I'm doing the most, right?
Thank you for having me.
You're doing
great. Thank you.